did say this, and it's important for leadership to have a vision. I said, darling, that's what we call them in Texas. Darling. I said, when people walk in that Oval Office, I wanted to say, optimistic guy comes here to work every single day. I said, I want people to know that the person who's been honored to serve has an optimistic view of the future. So if you'd have come in the Oval Office during my presidency, you'd have seen a rug that looked like the sun. I said, have it say optimism. You figure out the colors, and she did a fantastic job. You cannot lead unless you're optimistic, and I would tell you, I believe so strongly in what America stands for. I'm optimistic about the future. So you have paintings on the wall. I one time made the mistake of saying we had pictures on the wall. Laura had to remind me that you don't call them pictures, you call them paintings. They were mainly of Texas and Texas scenes. They were a Tom Lee from El Paso, and Onderdorf was one of the great landscape artists of Texas. And as people come in there, I would say, this ought to tell you something about me. I came to Washington with a set of values. I learned those values because of loving parents. And I learned those values by being raised here in Texas. And I left with the same set of values. The interesting thing about life, the interesting question about life, is our values worth fighting for? Are they worth defending? I felt they were, regardless of the circumstances. Let me share some of those values with you that I learned. One, I believe in Almighty, and the gift of that Almighty to every man, woman, and child is freedom. That's what I believe. I believe freedom exists in the soul of every man, woman, and child. And I believe it is in our interests to help people realize the blessings of freedom for the sake of peace. My foreign policy, in large part, was based on the universality of freedom. My belief that people desire to be free. And my belief that freedom brings the peace. One of the interesting stories of my presidency was my relationship with the Japanese Prime Minister, Koizumi. He's an interesting guy. Remember, he's the guy that we took over to Elvis's place. He's a huge Elvis Presley fan. So I said, what can I do for you? He was leaving office. He said, why don't we go to Elvis's place in Memphis?